all you need to know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Good morning to everyone. This is Bloomberg Quint and I am Hormuz Fatakia here to tell you all that you need to know on the 24th of March. First up, India expands its vaccination drive against the coronavirus as the number of new cases continue to rise. In the next phase of vaccination, everyone above the age of 45 will be eligible to get vaccinated starting the 1st of April. In terms of cases, India reported over 40,000 new cases on Tuesday, and as of Tuesday evening, Maharashtra reported over 28,000 new cases, with Mumbai reporting 3,500 new cases. The World Health Organization said that the rise in the number of cases is a worrying trend and has warned rich nations against hoarding vaccines. The government on Tuesday raised the deposit threshold limit to 5 lakh rupees per annum in Provident Fund, for which interest will continue to be tax exempt. This will be applicable to those cases where there is no contribution made by the employer to the retirement fund. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the tax on interest on Provident Fund contributions affects only 1% of the total contributors. Experts said that the amendments will benefit only government employees. The Reserve Bank of India has approved fresh guidelines for amalgamation of 2 or more cooperative banks. The regulator in their circular said that it will also offer certain incentives to urban cooperative banks that will become an acquirer in the process. The decision on the merger will need to be approved by 2/3 of the majority of all board members of both the acquiring and the acquired bank. The government is supposed to have challenged in a court in The Hague the arbitration tribunal verdict that overturned its demand for 10,247 crore rupees in retrospective taxes from Cairn Energy. Sources told Bloomberg that the appeal was filed on Monday. Sources also said that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to broach India honouring the International Arbitration Award during his visit later next month. In corporate news, Hero MotoCorp will be increasing the prices of its two-wheelers across ranges by up to 2,500 rupees from the 1st of April. The company said that the price hike was necessitated to partially offset the impact of increased commodity costs. This is also the second price hike undertaken by the company after the one taken in January this year. The two-wheeler maker also said that it has accelerated its cost savings program to ensure minimal impact on the customer. The government plans to sell 15% of Rail Vikas Nigam's equity through an offer for sale. The initial plan is for the sale of 20.8 crore shares, or 10% of the total equity, with a greenshoe option to sell another 10.4 crore shares, or 5% of the total equity. The floor price of 27.5 rupees per share is a 9.5% discount to Tuesday's closing price. The OFS opens for non-retail investors today and for retail investors tomorrow. Rossari Biotech has approved the issue and allotment of 30.1 lakh equity shares worth 300 crore rupees on a preferential basis. The shares have been issued at 996 rupees apiece, which is a 10.7% discount to Tuesday's closing price. SBI Mutual Fund, Malabar Select Fund are some of the investors to whom the shares have been allotted. Barbecue Nation's IPO will open for subscription today. The company plans to raise over 450 crore rupees through the 3-day issue. The price band for the issue has been fixed at 498 to 500 rupees per share. The company raised 202 crore rupees through the allotment of shares to 21 anchor investors ahead of its IPO. Fidelity Funds, Nomura, Goldman Sachs are among the top anchor investors to this issue. Also, specialty chemicals company Anupam Rasayan will be listing on the bourses today. The 3-day issue of the company had seen subscription of over 40 times. Oil prices are fighting to hold the $60 per barrel mark this morning after a 6% drop overnight. People familiar with the data told Bloomberg that the American Petroleum Institute reported a rise of as much as 3 million barrels last week in U.S. crude stockpiles. West Texas Intermediate has declined over 10% in the last 2 weeks. With that, I head over to Neeraj Shah for the trade setup of the day. Morning, Neeraj. Today marks exactly a year since the lockdown was imposed and the Nifty made an intraday low of 7,511. But what a journey it has been since then.
Well, Hormuz, thanks for passing this on to me and to all of you. Hormus would have given a fantastic data back description of that 1 year to 7,511, which was that low. I will tell you guys a small story too. We were in the studios back then. Currently we work from home, thankfully, but we were in the studios back then, and I distinctly remember how there was panic all around when it came to conversing with people. But there were also some sane voices who were saying that the bottom belongs to the one who stays invested. And who knows if we were already at the bottom then. I distinctly remember Ramdev Agrawal telling this to me on air when the Nifty was at 7,800, that who knows, we may already have seen the bottom, even though we were at the peak of panic then. We probably cracked another 300 points from there. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, will we double from here? Sure, we will. Maybe not in the next 12 months, but over a period of time, most certainly. The key is to segregate your trades from your investments and watch your investments like watching the paint grow dry. That will do the trick for all of you. Now, back to the trade. I think the global markets are a bit soft today. The Nasdaq didn't end particularly well, and about 1% lower. And while the futures are flattish to marginally in the green, I think the sentiment isn't pro-bullish, you would have to say. However, when you look at the Nifty, technically it formed a bullish candle on a daily scale and negated the formation of lower highs for the last 6 trading sessions, so which is a positive sign. Tactically as well, the chance to create longs isn't quite gone as yet. Remember, I've been saying for the past couple of days that tactical longs might be there until to expiry. So that hasn't gone as yet. So we may well be able to do so. Traders may be well able to do so tactically in select pockets over the next couple of days as well, unless the global scenario changes quite dramatically. For today, all eyes will be on the commodity stocks. Remember, oil sensitives may hurt due to further cracks in crude, which fell about, 3-4% in yesterday's session. But keep in mind that ONGC was already amongst the top losers in trade yesterday. So watch out for ONGC, Oil India and HOEC. Morgan Stanley's come out with a fairly bullish note on steel stocks. They say that the strong rebound in demand in 2021 plus supply side reforms in China should lead to higher international steel prices, and they see the super cycle profitability for being sustained for a longer period of time, with accelerated deleveraging that they believe the steel companies will show and a potential start of a new capex cycle. They've upgraded JSW Steel to overweight. They've downgraded SAIL to underweight, but they've raised the target prices for most stocks in the steel side. So do watch out for them. And of course, do watch out for aluminum stocks because of possible supply side gushes like the one from China's side in aluminum that was the talking point yesterday. It might help to choose the metal sectors very, very wisely. Also watch out for Adani Group stocks, Nifty, IT and other select specialty chemical companies on the long side, which are a part of the top draw. Lastly, please stay safe and wear your masks, and keep in mind, as much as we talk about bubbles, the liquidity safety net exists. Money released by governments may not flow evenly to all markets, and pinpointing exactly where it's going is difficult. But in this kind of an environment, market bubbles don't necessarily burst so much as a roll from one asset class to the other and from one country to the other. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you can listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.